All right, this is the
I'm
end
Brace.
game,
I'm
the
a
new
game
end
designer, and I'll
game
be talking about
campfire
mercenaries.
discussion. So let's see what the new end games
So,
activities are going to be.
Tons of content coming to Vessel of Hatred. I know players have heard us talk about it a little bit, but Brent, did you want to talk about any content specifically before we jump in?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of teeing up the next big thing that we want to talk about is just kind of how well the Spiritborn reaction has been since we've announced it. It's been amazing to see folks so excited about it. It's something that we've been pouring a lot of love into. We wanted to make sure they were adding something fresh to the game, and I really feel like we're there. But when we released it, we actually still had work to do. And so throughout the PTR, and the last few weeks of development here, we've been putting a lot of effort into polishing things up, and I'm super excited to hear Bjorn talk about what we've got in store.
Yeah, lots of internal testing. We had players actually check it out at Gamescom as well, which was really cool. So as we all know, Bjorn was on our Spiritborn reveal stream, and he's back to talk more about Spiritborn. So here is Spirit Bjorn to talk more about the Spiritborn.
Right
It's hard for me to actually say Spiritborn now because I just say Spirit Bjorn. So there we go.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes. I mean, we've seen a lot of the sort of in development side of it, and we're just going to talk about a few kind of final touches, the final version of a few things that we want to hit on quickly here in this presentation. So starting off, we're going to talk about a couple of updates to the Spiritborn's passives. First off, we have 3 additional passives which have been added to the tree.
Passives.
Each of these kind of amplifies how the skills work that they relate to. So we have one for core skills, one for potency skills, and one for focus skills. And that sort of lets you kind of go more all in on any of those skills. There's also here on the far side of the slide an update to Noxious Resonance, which is one of Spiritborn's key passives.
Poison crit.
We really wanted to kind of clarify how this mechanic works, how it scales, and kind of answer some lingering questions about exactly how it works. But it's still largely based around exploding the poisons on your enemies. Moving on to another thing, we're going to have a small update to the Jaguar primary Spirit Hall. This will still do lots of damage whenever you spec into it. It's all about damage with the Jaguar. But this has focused it a little bit more about multi-attack skills, high attack speed, and really like allowing you to ramp up the damage that you can get it. Because now it's also based around the damage that you did in a short window. So that lets you sort of echo all of that damage that you did the faster you're attacking. Moving on to another small, or sort of medium-sized update. There was some confusion around Spirit Feathers, Storm Feathers, the Eagle Hall, how all that kind of works together. So this has been unified into a new concept just called Storm Feathers. What this is this is a buff that you can get. This increases your movement speed and it stacks duration. And now all of these things, they all speak to the Storm Feather concept. So you can get them, you can modify them, you can make them do different things, and you can even like use it to make kind of some crazy builds. I think we have a video for it where you can just kind of have feathers going all over the place.
So think of it like crackling energy. You got to pick them up.
And various Paragon that increases Storm Feather potency that will speak to all of these aspects as well as the Eagle primary hall. And then moving on to the last thing we've got should be our uniques. So some of you might have gotten to see some early versions of these, but we want to kind of show off the final versions with all of their stats in all of their glory.
Too many nerfs.
So to start off, we have 6 unique Spiritborn rings. Each of these kind of emphasizes a combination of 2 spirits and really lets you sort of tailor how you generate your
Every time you deal thorns, you gain vigor.
Sort of make the build that you're looking to make. Then moving on to
getting that vigor is going to be really good
we showed off
because you can apply thorns on every attack too.
Your sword into evade, and everybody really loved that. A couple other examples: we've got Craze of the Dead God, which allows you to turn poisoning all damage coming at you into poisoning damage.
This seems actually kind of broken.
Your enemies in the form of Touch of Death, which is pretty neat. And then we've also got our helms.
Harmony of Abakwa is the best thing in the entire
game. One is focused more along
it got nerfed. It was 150, but now it's 90x.
While the other one is more
it's still
about
incredibly OP.
A single spirit. And then finally, we have our unique weapons. We've got several glaives and quarterstaffs. We already showed off the basic one.
Wait,
but
did
we're
they
gonna quickly
nerf
show off sort of its
Nixine?
counterpart, which is
Wait,
the
they
one for
removed
your
all
core
the all
skills.
skills from it. They
So
nerfed
this one,
it. Holy.
allows you to sort of
Big
spam
nerf.
your core skills almost as if they were basics. That's sort of
They used to be
reduced damage,
plus
but when
27
you're
skills,
at
right?
maximum vigor, it ramps up to
Wow.
the maximum size.
deleted it.
Guaranteed crit, just massive screen clearing version of the core skill. So we think that one's pretty fun too. And then lastly, I believe I have a slide just for, yeah, there we go. Our drop tables.
Oh, the
for
drop
bosses.
tables
So
just
if
got.
you're
Oh
looking
my
to
gosh,
target
this is
farm,
huge.
Any of these
Actually, that they
specific ones,
revealed
similar to the
all
other
of this.
classes, you can kind of farm these based on different bosses.
Where to get
take a
those
screenshot of
uniques.
this, and go for
So
it.
the most important is the
Awesome.
Janthus
Yeah,
shell.
tons of,
So Lord
updates.
Zir is the one
You
you
know,
want
we've
to
done
do,
so
by
much
the way.
internal testing. We've heard a
100%,
lot
like
of
the best
feedback.
item in the
'Cause we
game.
had that deep dive blog. We've seen
For
people
chess.
theory craft. We've seen people actually play it at Gamescom. We've had a couple content creators like during the Spiritborn live stream, and even during our like kind of a preview event, they actually got to try it out and stuff. So hearing all this feedback and then applying some of the feedback and some of the internal feedback that we ended up getting and seeing all the changes here and updating everyone has been really cool to see. So thank you again, Bjorn, for walking us through the Spiritborn. The class is incredibly fun. Day one is what I'm playing for Vessel of Hatred. I think most of us are.
Yeah, everyone's playing that class
It's
for
a ton of fun to check out. Next up, what we wanted to talk about is Kurast Undercity. This is actually a feature that we did announce with Gamescom, but we didn't really get a ton of opportunities to really kind of like dive deeper into what Kurast Undercity is. So, Derek, you want to take us through this?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
All right.
the Kurast Undercity is a brand new dungeon experience that our Vessel of Hatred players, will be unlocking throughout the course
So
of
this
the
is Vessel of
campaign.
Hatred only. You have to have the
appropriately
expansion.
located in the new capital city of Kurast, but it's the part of town that's not recommended that the standard citizen venture into. It's a section of the Kurast town that is still infested by the jungles of Nahantu and kind of overrun with the worst of the worst. It's Nahantu's most wanted inside the various districts that make up the Undercity. Throughout the course, as players are unlocking it, they'll meet a new character named Seahek that kind of teaches you the laws of the Undercity and how to commune with the spirit flames to traverse its treacherous depths, basically. So that's kind of like the narrative setting for it, but let's dive into the actual experiential standpoint, which we see here already. So the Kurast Undercity is an intense multi-floor time attack dungeon where players will be racing against an aggressive countdown timer to reach the district boss with as high of a rewards upgrade meter built up as possible and try not to let that timer expire. So fun little novel wrinkle here is that killing certain monsters we refer to as afflicted will give you time bonuses to extend your time in the Undercity, and just killing monsters in general and completing dungeon activities will build up this reward upgrade meter referred to in-game as attunement. As far as the Undercity's role, it's one new novel leveling content, but its power really comes into the fact that it's brand new opportunistic content that allows players to make very efficient, very specific progress towards rewards goals as the opportunities arise. I'll dive deeper into that in the next few slides, but for now, just want to kind of set the stage that the Undercity does not necessarily have any objective aside from get to the boss, beat the clock, and do so with the highest amount of rewards upgrades built up as possible. How the players go about doing that is entirely up to them, because this is, again, a dungeon that celebrates autonomy, flow, and variety.
And this is a good example we were talking about earlier. When we're looking at the new modes that we have, we want that player agency to come back to the player.
Yeah.
Play your way. And I think this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into the next slide here. Cool. So I mentioned opportunistic content, and this is where the Undercity's primary role in the reward structure is. So we have dungeon keys that grant you access to dungeons. The Undercity's version of a dungeon key is in the form of tributes. So you can hop into an Undercity run without a tribute, just do the thing, the base run. But when you start applying tributes, this is where we allow you to define the specific reward upgrade opportunities of your next Undercity run at the cost of increasing the run's challenge. So you can see an example of a tribute here. This is the Tribute of Radiance. And when you slot this in, so long as you complete your Undercity run with at least attunement rank 1, we will guarantee that you get ancestral legendaries at the end. We'll dive a little bit deeper into some of the nuances. You can see that it has dungeon affixes that define the specific challenge. So the higher and more powerful the tribute, the tougher the challenge is in the form of lower starting time, time bonus penalties, and potion drop penalties. But the fun doesn't really doesn't
I feel like
stop
potion
there.
drop
We're
isn't
just
really
getting
that big of a
started.
deal.
Once you apply a tribute, you now unlock the ability to define a bargain. Each tribute has a list of bargains mapped to it. So this Tribute of Radiance has a collection of them. We're just picking out a couple that seem pretty fun to show off. And bargains allow you to further customize your rewards at a varying material cost. So we have one here, skill ranks, legendary armors will always possess at least one skill rank affix for X amount of gold here. And then the passive ranks, which you'll see a little bit more later, the legendary amulets will always possess at least one passive rank affix. So let's go into the next slide just to, again, recap the full flow. And we're going to see a video of all of this to let it all kind of like soak in and see like the full flow of the Undercity. So we have the front end experience where you interact with the Spirit Brazier. You can jump directly into your district run, or you can optionally apply a tribute.
So it makes it
and then
harder,
bargain
but you get
to
some better
specify
reward.
The rewards opportunity of your next run. So let's go see this in action. Look at that. So this is the hub of the Undercity, and that's the Spirit Brazier that I was mentioning. You can see that we have the base, the base run
No
rules.
Runewords.
Starting time, no time bonus penalties, no potion drop penalties, and we have
Why is there
the
diamonds in like
opportunity to apply a tribute. We have 4 tributes here, so we'll show these in a still shot later, so you don't have to like worry about what does it say. But we have 4 tributes here that range from magic all the way to unique to accommodate your leveling journeys. So for now, we applied the legendary tribute that'll guarantee ancestral uniques at the end of your run. And again, this is the list of potential bargains that I mentioned that each tribute has. Each tribute has like varying quantities of bargains attached to it. So we're going to pick the passive rank legendary amulets for the low price of 50 million gold. The Spirit Flame services don't
seems
come
like it's
cheap,
a little bit
but they're worth it. So we got the
expensive.
portal open, and we're going to hop into the run. We're going to have this play a couple times. First, I just want to point out the HUD, because this is really kind of your guide through the experience. So you can see at the top, once we exited that Spirit Aura, the timer starts, and that's a nice little timer at the top right-hand corner of your screen. We also display the number of floors that you have left to traverse. Very key information right there. To the right-hand side in the objective tracker, we have the attunement meter, and it's segmented into 4 ranks. Again, as I mentioned, achieving rank 1 is the bare minimum requirement necessary to get the value of the tribute that you slotted in. All subsequent ranks further enhance the value of that reward. So while you certainly want to strive to get attunement rank 4 to maximize your payout, it's not necessary if you're feeling the pinch of the time pressure. That if you at least get attunement rank 1, you can run it to the boss room and still come away with the thing that you're looking for. Going to point out a couple things here. You might have seen, let's do the Spirit Beacon. So the Spirit Beacon is one of our activity types, and completing it both gives you attunement, a good splash of attunement, and it applies a momentary spirit buff that increases your movement speed and reduces your, the skill cooldowns. Mm-hmm. Again, you got to move fast in the Undercity, so these Spirit Beacons are incredibly useful for getting you to the next location, whether it's another Spirit Beacon or the exit. We're also kind of showing here the Lesser Afflicted. As you can see, they're clearly marked in the game world. They're all orangey glowy, so you can keep your focus on the combat. And killing them is what gives you the time bonuses to extend your run. I think that's kind of the long and short of the Undercity run. Again, this is an example of floor 1. There's still 2 more floors to traverse to get to the boss room. Yeah, let's hop up. There we go. We're into the boss room. So in this case, we have finished all 3 floors and we made it to the boss room. One thing you'll notice that time expiration, it stops. Time drain stops in the boss room. So you just need to make it to the boss room before that timer hits 0. This is Aaliyah, one of our 3 district bosses. And it's important to call out that there are 3 total districts to explore in the Undercity. Again, that's kind of tapping into the variety aspect of things. So Aaliyah is, again, just one of 3 henchmen that own the various districts. So in this case, we're at the tail end of this fight. We just, killed Aaliyah, and we see that we ended this run with a full reward upgrade of 4. So now we're going to get the best possible payout for this. And we came in here looking for ancestral legendaries, and as the Spirit Flames promised, ancestral legendaries is what we get. And the greater affixes.
3
and we also see that we got an amulet.
That's pretty rare.
If we were to dive into the amulet, we would have seen that the bargain would have applied to it as well. So the player would have gotten specifically what they came in here for.
So what are the other rewards?
That's a really quick snapshot of just the structure of an Undercity flow.
So we have XP,
I want to take this time just to dive
XP
into
runes,
a little bit more
ancestral
details on the
legendaries,
tributes
mythic
that
uniques.
we saw in the gameplay footage and spend a little bit more time with
Increased
them.
chance. Not guaranteed though.
This is an example of 4 of our 8 total tributes. These are hand-selected primarily just to showcase how the tributes are tuned to progress with your leveling journeys. So we start off here with the Tribute of Growth. This is usable on all difficulty levels. This is the tribute that rewards additional experience when you complete the Undercity. So this is great, for leveling up your alts, leveling up your character in general. And you can see here that we start applying the first of the, penalties or challenges for this, in the sense that we have lower starting time. We actually incur a time bonus penalty now, and we have potion drop penalties. Something also to note is, this is just found randomly in Sanctuary, so as you're just doing your standard leveling stuff, like the Hell Tides or whatever, you will get these types of tributes to say, point you to the Undercity every now and again. So let's go back to the tribute gallery, as I like to call it.
Can we go back to that last slide that we had up there? There we go.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, cool, thank you. And then we get to...
So we have a lot less starting
progressively
time.
more challenging, but also progressively more rewarding for the players. So Tribute of Harmony rewards guaranteed runes. This is a Torment tier difficulty. And you can see, we just amp up the challenge with each one. The Tribute of Radiance is the one that we just saw in action, that we guaranteed ancestral legendaries. And the Tribute of Ascendance is example, kind of like the cream of the crop tribute, unique tribute that guarantees several uniques with an increased chance of a mythic unique. And I just want to call it out here that I know that the last 2 tributes say that they're resolute tributes and they only apply rewards to the player that offered it. We do have variants of both of these that work in party.
Okay. So some will work in parties.
The rest of the tributes that don't have that distinction, they reward everyone in the party.
Oh,
It's
that's
just
awesome.
The last 2 that kind of had that little.
That's kind of
asterisk on it.
understandable though, because it's mythic.
Yeah, and I think that's the gallery of the tributes, and again,
So that's the
these
new
are
endgame,
mapped
guys.
to- The rest of them are mapped to a variety of content, like the whisper caches, the summon.
And then we
red
also have the
boxes,
Citadel,
and,
which they'll
a
probably
variety of things that I'm forgetting
we'll
on the
probably
spot
make a
here.
specific video going over that one.
Yeah,
but
this is a fantastic activity to do when you're somewhat in the mid-game.
Great for, like,
of
uniques
your
even.
journey. So you're going to be introduced to this as you're making your way through the campaign. And but the thing I like about it is with all the progression changes that we've been looking at, this also scales with you. And so this is the type of activity that's going to stick with you for a while. It's a great way to get control over looking for the items you're looking for, and the time attack feature of this is really great.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here is like you can do it solo or you can do it with a group. So it's not like you have other options if you want to bring in a full party or if you like to just conquer it yourself. And I know a lot of people in chat are going like, hey, 50 million for all that. There are. I'm not sure if you guys saw all the different bargains and everything. There's a plethora of different costs for a lot of different options. And depending on what you're looking for, you can obviously target specific things. You may specifically want uniques or something like that, and that like chaotic uniques I think had like an obol requirement or whatever. So there's a lot of different bargain options for players to get, and if you are looking for specific rewards, you have an additional avenue to do so, which is really cool with Kurast.
good way to maybe target farm exactly
Awesome.
what you're looking for.
Well, there we go.
All right, well,
There's more.
There's
Actually.
more?
oh,
We're not done yet.
oh, hold on.
We're not done yet.
Oh, the new goblin.
Yeah, the Kurast Undercity is the gift that keeps on giving. So, one additional activity that you'll discover as you're romping through the Undercity is our Undercity unique treasure goblin, the Portal Prankster. We'll show some gameplay footage in just a moment, but first, just want to call out killing him will reward a bonus chest at the end of the dungeon. And in addition, that contains just standard, treasure goblin loot, runes, and more tributes. So it's a really good, a very juicy reward to go after the Portal Prankster when you come across him. But you would be doing so at your own peril, because you'll see in this video that he has a particular mechanic to him that makes it a little bit tricky when you have a continually timer that's continually counting down. So you'll see here that when he's aggroed, he opens up a bunch of portals and just like Benny Hills through them. It's a chase. So this is kind of tapping into the risk versus reward nature of the Undercity, where you make decisions based on how confident you are at the current state of your run. And again, killing him is very lucrative. He doesn't drop anything aside from attunement right from the get-go, but all of his rewards are funneled at the end of the experience. So again, a variety of the spice of life in the Undercity,
Cool.
and
Another new goblin.
really excited to get this into the hands of players.
Yeah, it's cool to see a new goblin variant right there.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, I
of
like the
course,
goblin
You
variants.
know, the ultimate troll goblin, as you can see in the gameplay, and that's the risk reward you were talking about. Like, do you spend the time and chasing after this specific goblin as it's bouncing between different portals as your time is ticking down, and you're trying to progress and get better rewards. And of course, if you succeed and you get everything, you get that extra chest at the end, which is really awesome.
Yeah,
So
it's worth it.
yeah, most definitely is worth it, especially since you get so much progress added once you do actually take down the goblin as well. So thank you, Derek, for walking us through this. We have a bunch of seats here. We actually have
Another?
physical seat here, because we do actually have one other person that we're going to be tapping into to talk
So
to us.
once they do this, I'm gonna reserve the other part if they're gonna talk about the Citadel. But what do you guys think of the new Undercity? As a new form of endgame content, I think it's actually pretty cool. But we'll have to wait and see what other rewards we get. But hopefully we'll check out the Citadel very soon, which is the raid system.